Have you ever looked at the fitness magazines and thought, is that really possible? Like, seriously, how does anybody actually get quite that shredded, ripped, fit? Insert the appropriate adjective there. Well, to be quite honest, I have. Could I get six-pack abs by the time I turned 40? Specifically, could I be in the best shape of my life by the time I turned 40? Yes, you might be sitting here thinking, don't be so shallow and don't be so vain, but to be honest, it was something that mattered to me. I just wondered whether I could do it. So I tried. Now I think it might be worth sharing what I learned, because you may be pondering the same whether you're 25, 35, 45, 55, even 65 ups. I genuinely think we're all capable of more than we realise, so why not see what is possible? So this is what I learned, and if it's useful, please do push the like button and also click subscribe. Just means that you will get the content the moment it is released. Why wasn't I in six-pack shape to begin with? Well, I think we can all identify when life gets a little bit all-encompassing, we begin to focus on other things, and sometimes fitness and nutrition can begin to slip by the wayside. We're all bombarded with eat less and move more, and how do we do that? But I mean, what happens in real life? If I said to you now, why aren't you lean and shredded? I would hazard a guess that, like me, I thought, well, where do I start? Yes, it's easy to buy a men's health fitness magazine and scroll to it, and it'll probably have something around the six-pack abs, get lean in 4 weeks, or whatever clickbait title there'll be. You doubt yourself. You think, well, surely it can't be that easy. I mean, where does one start? Do you just open the magazine and all of a sudden washboard abs appear? I mean, I guess unless you're Ryan Reynolds or Matthew McConaughey, then I guess that might be true. But you know what, for the rest of us mere mortals, chances are we're going to have to do something different. The other part that I just couldn't get away from, and certainly I think the older you get, you begin to say, well, can I do it? Is it something that I'm capable of? Yes, it might be a vain endeavour in this particular instance, but why not? I mean, you lose the enthusiasm of youth where you go, well, actually, I'll just do it. I'll give it a go, see what happens. Who cares if I fail? Nobody. And the older you get, you begin to retreat in yourself and think, okay, this is outside my comfort zone. What happens if I don't make it? Oh, my word. What happens if somebody laughs, or it doesn't work, or I don't get the result I want? You just think, oh my word. Yeah, and that is quite daunting. It's all good and well for me to sit here and say, I wanted to be in the best shape of my life by the time I turned 40, and I hired a personal trainer, and I did this and I did that, and all of a sudden it just happened. Now we all know that that would be complete nonsense, because things like that don't happen overnight. Plus, anything worth having in life is hard work, otherwise everybody would have it. Thanks, Dad. It boils down to what's really at stake. People talk about finding a strong why. Why do you want to do this? Because if you have a strong why, i.e. your reason for doing whatever it is you're doing, when shit gets tough, that's why you keep going. You keep dragging yourself out of bed early in the morning to do the walk, or you keep yourself up late at night to finish the chapter that you're writing, or you go that extra mile in terms of the project that you're working on. Having a strong why is vital. What was at stake for me? This might sound silly, but I just didn't want to feel shit on holiday. I wanted to have confidence that when I take off my shirt, I am not sat there feeling all self-conscious about it. Now I know there are big pieces around body confidence and we should all be comfortable in our own skin, but now we all battle with our own inner demons, and for me it's often how I think I look versus actually how I look. So having that confidence to take my shirt off and stand on the beach and just think, yes, I did it. And even now it kind of brings me out in goosebumps, because you just think, well, how good would that make you feel? The inner confidence, just the smug satisfaction, I guess it boils down to it, saying, actually, you know what? You bloody did it. I don't want to feel conscious when I'm sat by the pool and you'll see other people. I'm not comparing myself to anybody else. I just don't want to have that self-conscious feeling. You might have experienced it in the past where you get there and there's probably a few people in ultimate shape and you're sat there and think, actually, I'm pale, so I'm going to burn. I'm going to wear factor 50, probably got white sun cream all over my face. I've got a big hat on, I'm in the shade, I'm out of the direct sunlight. The beach is not a place that I feel massively comfortable with. And then it boils down to, will you actually relax on holiday? Will you be constantly thinking about, should I eat this or should I eat that? Or actually, you might go the other way and just think, F it, I'm going to eat everything and to hell with this, I'm going to worry about it when I get home. I have an interesting relationship with food, and sometimes that gets the better of me, and so I become quite conscious around what I eat, and I wanted to be on holiday and just relax about it. So all of this was building up to actually saying, by the time I turn 40, can I be in the best shape of my life? So as November began to get closer, I decided that it was time for action. So what did I do? I got in touch with a coach, personal trainer, a mentor, a guide, somebody that would actually help me on my journey. Because you know what, there's a huge difference between knowing and doing. We all know what we should do, but how many people actually do it? Fitness is a prime example. We all know that we should eat less and move more and have a balanced diet and not have as much alcohol and sleep more for recovery and eat the rainbow. So all of this stuff thrown together. But why don't we do it? Because it's hard, it's boring, consistency is not really fun. So for me to achieve my goal, I knew that I couldn't do it on my own because I've tried and failed in the past, and I'd bought enough online courses and I'd tried enough online programs, and I just thought, okay, let's do it properly. Let's get a coach. So I got in touch with a guy called Ben at Coach by Ben fame, and he helped me work out a plan for 90 days leading up to November to get into the best shape of my life. Fit at 40 was the plan, or could I get lean? Could I get shredded? Either way, could I end up with six-pack abs as I walked onto the beach? But in terms of actually making that progress, I quickly realized that you need to ask for help. So for me, one of the biggest parts was actually saying, can I do it on my own? Maybe, but if I can't do it on my own, what are my options? Well, generally you've got two options. You either throw money at the problem and you ask somebody to help you, or you knuckle down and you learn and you become an expert in that particular field. Well, I don't think I actually had time. I didn't have time to do the expert route, although I am hugely interested in it, and I've definitely taken on board the principles that I've learned. So I took the money option, and I said to Ben, please, will you help me on my journey? Asking for help is not a weakness. Now, we are bombarded with the tripe of people like Donald Trump, where they talk about strength is the only way, and to be honest, it's nonsense. Asking for help is not a weakness. If you understand what your weaknesses are, you can actually work on them. And heaven forbid, you might actually turn your weakness into a strength. But understanding what is and isn't a strength means that you can then focus on the parts that you're not so good at. It wasn't a being afraid of learning. It wasn't a being afraid of not knowing. I just didn't know where to start. Information overload. You've only got to Google how to get lean and fit, and you are bombarded with probably 1 billion types of different answers, and you just think, oh my word. Somebody will say keto diet, somebody will say the caveman diet, somebody will say a low carb diet, somebody will say go vegetarian, somebody will say go vegan, somebody will say eat nothing but protein. It's just like, okay, let's stop all that. Let's strip it right the way down and focus on the principles and put your faith in the science. And that was really what Ben did, is he helped me understand what the core principles are. We looked at what was my daily calorie allowance that I needed based on the fact that I'm reasonably sedentary because my day job is behind a desk. We were on lockdown, so I meant that I was moving less. And then we worked out the amount of protein that I needed. So could I hit a particular calorie allowance, and could I get a certain amount of protein every day? Okay, I can break those down into particular steps. Yeah, okay, this works. I mean, it was all highlighted by the fact that one evening before I started this endeavor, I got to 6 o'clock in the evening and I looked at my trusty Apple Watch and it said I had done 667 steps at 6 o'clock in the evening. I'd been at my desk for most of the day and I'd done less than 700 steps. That is sedentary. Now, most of our daily calorie allowance is made up on the fact that we're actually moving in some way, shape or form, and then you can work out whether you've got a highly active job and you're on a building site or you're really sedentary sat behind a desk. 667 steps. Madness. And I decided that was not sustainable. So part of working with Ben was to understand what are the key principles that we're working towards. I can now tell you that you should not do everything at once. Don't use all of the tools in your toolbox just to go, okay, I'm going to eat less and move more and have more protein and take protein shakes and exercise twice a day and walk in the morning and then stretch in the evening and I'm going to drink liters and liters of water. If you do that all on day one, you're going to fail. Sorry, you're going to fail. It's going to be terrible. And you'll get pissed off after 3 days and you'll think, stuff it, and you'll go and do something else. Welcome to the failure rate. So understanding the principles that you're going by and just building them in and building the right habits and putting your faith in the system is hugely important. Being in the data space means I'm probably going to bore you with numbers and stats and all that sort of stuff. Well, we have a phrase that says, what gets measured gets managed. Now, that has never been more true when it comes to trying to get fit and healthy. If you understand what is happening, you can work with it, you can move forward, you can make changes. But if you don't know where you are, how are you going to do that? Simple things. Track your food. We did it for 3 days initially. Tracked everything, not just the good stuff. We included the peanut butter and the Haribo and maybe the odd Jaffa cake. But if you don't understand where you are, how do you expect to move forwards? And that was a big piece for me. It's just understanding exactly what's happening to have that solid baseline so you can say, okay, I know where I am now. If I need to create a calorie deficit, I know that I overeat in the evenings. Okay, fine. So let's just bear that in mind. Whereas before you go, yeah, it's probably about this. Well, to be honest, I think we undercut most of what we think we eat by about 20%, especially if you're beginning to record your food in a diary like MyFitnessPal, for example. So it's November 28th, ticked over. How did I feel? Well, not only were we so fortunate to be standing on a beach the following week, bearing in mind that the UK had been in lockdown not too long beforehand, it felt amazing. Not only because the sun was shining and we were very fortunate enough to be near some warm water, but I managed to achieve my goal. I did it. I got as close to as being as fit as I ever have at 40, and that was really, really pleasing. It just gave me that inner confidence. And I wasn't really doing it for anybody else. There were people far fitter and in far better shape than I, but just being able to say that I achieved my goal and I sat there on the sun lounger getting burnt with the odd abdominal showing. It's a bit embarrassing saying that, but I did it. I managed to do it. I put my faith in the system and I worked with Ben and we stayed the course and I learned and I made my goal. How does it feel? To be honest, pretty chuffing good. But what really pleased me was it gave me the inner confidence and reminded me that I can do it. If it's outside of your comfort zone, you can do it. If I'd have sat there at the beginning and tried to do it on my own, I would have talked myself out of it. You'd sit there and think, it's just not possible. I can't do it. I'm not fit enough. It's genetic. I'm not able to do it. I don't have the kit. I can't cook or whatever it might be. You'll talk yourself out of it. But I also learned some new habits, some things that I will take away from not only in those 90 days, but probably for the rest of my life. And that was something that I wasn't fully expecting when I first started. And the other part is I want to inspire. I want you to know that you can do it. Whatever your goal is, you don't have to get down to 6 or 7% body fat, which is what I was aiming to do. You just have to define your goal and go after it. Work out what it is that you want to do. Take the big challenge and break it down into bite-sized chunks like I did. What do you need? What have you tried before? What didn't work? How can you do something different? Ask for help. It's not a weakness. All of these things added up to creating that momentum to help me get towards my goal. I sit here now, and as I said, it brings me out in goosebumps thinking that I actually managed to achieve my goal and get as fit as I possibly can when I turn 40. I'll have those photos of me looking burnt on the beach forever, but I will know that the way that it made me feel will stay with me forever. Please do comment below and let me know when you were in the best shape of your life, and have you tried to get back to that, and also where did you last go on holiday? So for me it was the Maldives back in 2020, and I'm certainly looking forward to going away soon. But just remember, my name is Brendan. If you're new here, please do make sure you subscribe, make sure the bell wobbles. That just means you will get the content the moment it is released. Also, if you heard anything that was useful today, please push the like button. But with that, go be awesome, and I will see you all in the next video. Cheers.